The Ravens are back at the top of the AFC North where they belong. So much to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 287 of the Purple Rain Podcast. A lot of names in here. The Qadri Ismail episode, Dallas Clark, Max Williams, Demetrius Williams, Ravens legend Raleigh Webb episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Thank you all for coming through this lovely, lovely Friday edition of the Purple Rain Podcast. A little weird with the whole Christmas, but so much to talk about. First and foremost, hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all that I know is going on right now. So I hope you are enjoying that. If you do celebrate any of those, I hope it was good. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it. You got to see him live. Kick some Texans ass. Got to watch it here. Put the belt to ass on Texans. Yeah, wonderful. But thank you all for coming through. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow this guy over here on Instagram or on X at Sutton Death. You can follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod or on X at simplyas10. Most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Code PRP for 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. Truly is the best deal on the internet. So much to talk about. We back at the AFC North on top of it after I was told we weren't. Mike Tomlin turns into Hugh Jackson after the Steelers go 500. We got PQ and Deshaun Elliott calling out the Steelers defense, calling out coaches. I mean, maybe the grass wasn't greener. Maybe it wasn't green. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't greener. But first and foremost, how was your holiday? And how was Energy Stadium? How was Beyonce? And how was watching Lamar Jackson, to me, staple himself the third time as the most valuable player?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just covered all the bases right there. I mean, well, number one, the day was, had a great time. My biggest Christmas gift of the day was actually getting to go to NRG Stadium and see the Ravens play live against the Texans Christmas Day. That was awesome. Something like I've never experienced before, to be quite honest with you. Beyonce was also really cool. It seemed like she was only on the field for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Maybe the whole moment was just like a blur for me because I was in between trying to record with my phone and then actually trying to get eyes on her in the performance and stuff like that. It was probably a much better experience watching from home. I didn't get to see the replay of it, but I thought she was good. She sounded great. And then also just being at the game, watching the Ravens just kick some ass for 4 straight quarters, really, for 4 whole quarters. I mean, and so again, I was at the game. And I happened to be kind of surrounded by half Ravens fans and then half Texans fans, So it was kind of like a good mixture. I felt comfortable. I felt very comfortable talking my shit. And so that's what I did, and there were some people around me who were Texans fans who were kind of salty. You know what I mean? Kind of a little bit salty. There was these 2 guys standing next to me, right? I was actually standing up a row higher than the seats that I actually we paid for, or whatever. And the Ravens started whooping ass. It was probably second quarter, halfway through the second quarter, and the guy standing next to me, he's like, "Oh, we got people coming. You need to move, whatever. Aren't your seat?" And I'm like, "Well, y'all can actually go down a row. No one's stopping you. Those are our seats right there. They're actually even better seats if you actually want to go down there." Only reason I was row back because I met a friend, this dude who was sitting, this little boy who was sitting maybe a row up behind me, and he was a Ravens fan. He said he was 11 years old. He's been a Ravens fan for 3 years now. He was super cool. He asked me what my name was and all that. We just started chopping it up, and we were just kind of buddies throughout the whole game. So I was sitting a row back just to hang with him. But then these Texans fans, they start heckling me and saying, "Oh, you need to move down," whatever. I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll closer view to the game. Cool. Get a closer, view to this ass whooping." So that was pretty interesting. But other than that, no, I mean, just 4 quarters of straight belt, absolute ass, man. It was just, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna break it down, I'm sure. And then you kind of touched on the whole Lamar for MVP thing. A lot of Texans fans in that stadium, there were kind of murmurs of okay, yeah, Lamar, he does deserve MVP. I would hear that walking through the concourse and sitting at my seat and stuff like that. I would hear the murmurs of that. So I definitely agree with you there. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. But of course, before we get into any more of it, Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. We'd appreciate that. Let's see who we have here in the live chat. We got Spooky J in here, says, yo, PRP, what's going on, Spooky J? We got Kareem Shebeka in the house, says, yes, sir, Rain Gang, what's going on, Kareem? Appreciate you for coming through. Lisa says, Happy New Year, Alex and Sutton Dev. How sweet was that victory Wednesday night? Happy New Year to you and you all as well. Yeah, that victory was just absolutely. We're gonna get into it. Kamal Porter says, take the North. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. We got our first super chat donation of the night. This one's coming from D Was, per you, dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Shout out to you, D Was. Hope your holiday was great. Says, how was Allen Eck the other night? I mean, look, what, 3 penalties? I want to say we racked up. It was a very clean game by the Ravens, I must say. And so I really don't have any quarrels with Allen Eck. You?
Should have had 2. That Marlon Humphrey DPI was very soft, but ball doesn't lie. They got stopped 4 downs in the red zone. Outside of that, good clean game from the Ravens. And in the past 2 games, I think it's 5 penalties overall in 120 minutes of football, which goes over to winning football. That's a formula for it. You play cleaner, you win. So overall, pretty good. Can't be mad at that at all. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And thank you, DWAS, for the super chat donation. We appreciate you as always. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. So just breaking down the game. What's going on, SG? Appreciate you for coming through. K-Dog is in the house. Says Mod K-Dog to you. Says Zach Orr defense is starting to take shape. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I guess we can start here with the defensive performance, right? Because there's a litany of things to talk about on offense, obviously, but with the defense and how it's been progressing. I said this a couple of weeks ago on one of the videos that we posted on the channel. There's been a full defensive resurgence, man. Like the energy has just shifted in the room, and it all started with moving Kyle Hamilton to free safety. Kyle Hamilton also had a pick. Seeing that live was pretty cool to see. But pitching a shutout, I think the final score for this game, 31-2, is a lot funnier than 31-0. Honestly, like I was upset with the safety for sure, but the fact that those were the only points that the Texans could throw up on Wednesday night was just, I don't know. It just made me feel some sort of some giggle inside. I don't know. It was pretty funny, pretty humorous to me. But listen, man, overall, I want to go first on one. What did you think overall of the defense's performance, and who really stood out to you on the defense?
It's somebody whose agenda I've been writing since 2021. We picked him out of TCU. There is receipts on this very show on Twitter. Darius Washington. I remember when we got him. Don't know how he didn't go drafted. An absolute dog. 5'9", 5'10" of just straight nothing but dog. What is going on, my boy Roosh?
Yes.
Thank you for coming through. Yeah, Darius Washington. This guy right here is playing how a Raven safety plays. All right. Other people on this team, maybe not, wouldn't make that play, but I need to give a huge shout out to him, and I have to give a shout out to Mr. DaCosta, because I will raise my hand. I did not understand why we traded for Tre'Davious White. I'm like, this guy literally is hurt. He can't play a full game because he's hurt. But I shouldn't have doubted the ball genius himself. Tre'Davious White has played some really good football for us since he's gotten here, and on that 4th down stop, Darius did hit him, but Tre'Davious White threw him out of bounds. Joe Mixon could have easily, ate that tackle and kept his balance and reached over the goal line. But Trey White said, no, I'm not having none of that. Throw him down. And he's done really good for us as well. Locked down Pickens for a couple of plays in the first time we play them. But Darius, I got to add him in there with being that safety back there with Kyle Hamilton. He did get beat by, I think it was Dalton Schultz on one play. That's his height, unfortunately. But outside of that, he just plays fast, plays physical, and plays a lot taller and a lot bigger than he actually does. So I give a huge shout out to Darius Washington, because he has just came in here and just made himself a household name in this defense. Like, that is what a Ravens defense is about. Guys coming up, stepping up out of nowhere. That's kind of the history of the Ravens defense and playing like a Raven.
Yeah, man. I mean, Darius Washington, just to kind of keep the subject on him for a few seconds here. For a guy of that stature, of his size, he's what, 5'8", 180 pounds, like, that's literally smaller than me, and like I can only imagine being out on an NFL football field, right? That is absolutely ridiculous to see him kind of just throw his body all over the place and like really like hit guys. Forcing the fumble on Russell Wilson last week, I still have not forgot about that. That's still at the forefront of my mind. The fact that Russell Wilson thought that, oh, this guy, who is this guy that got in at safety here that I'm about to run over for a touchdown and really like galvanize our troops and really get the stadium, taken out of it. Like, and then Ardarius to just be like, nope, stopping you dead in your tracks. And oh yeah, I need that football too. And then you fast forward to this week. That play was absolutely beautiful, getting that fourth down, man. And they were desperate. They were desperate for points on that one. Like they needed that so bad. And that was Ardarius just kind of slamming the door shut on that game, I really thought. But I want to give a shout out to Marlon Humphrey on that play as well. He ran Joe Mixon to the sideline and gave Ardarius the perfect angle, really, to get that hit. And then, of course, Tre'Davious White is there to kind of clean it up. So just overall, a great team effort on that play. But, of course, Ardarius Washington, he gets the most praise, the most credit on that play because of the big hit on Joe Mixon, who's not a small running back either. He's not the biggest of running backs, but he's not a small running back. He is a physical guy. He's a good running back, a very good running back. So to see Ardarius Washington shut down two players like that on back-to-back week 2 our players, I would argue, it's pretty impressive to see. And I think that the Ravens are going to have some very important business decisions to make this offseason when it comes to the safety room and Ardarius Washington. I do want to also bring this up too. FG says talk about Zach Orr after the Ardarius play. LOL. That was hilarious. I love to see that though. I love to see that Zach Orr is in tune. He's out there having fun. We were both critical of him earlier in this season, just a few weeks ago even, right? And to see him like come around, like really like be with the team, and the vibes and the energy seem to be very high. You see Kyle Hamilton coming up behind Lamar Jackson on the sideline in that game, just kind of giving him a hug or whatever. The vibes seem a lot higher than they've ever been this season. And that really does excite me, especially with us staring down the postseason and potentially getting a home playoff game if we win the AFC North. So yeah, man. So anybody else on defense that you saw made a big impact?
D. Washington here, Kyle Van Noy. I got to give him his flowers as well. 11.5 sacks.
Whole D line, right? Yeah.
Namdi Madubuike got one. Dafe
Owe had one
sack away from double digits. He's almost there at double.
Yeah.
If he gets to double digits this next game, that is like seeing your son graduate college. Don't know what that's like, but it's like it's that proudly. He knew he could do it. He worked so hard, and he knew he can do it. So that'll be me, honestly. Owe gets it. Madubuike getting his hell. Here's how I knew, when it's one. When you have Chris Board getting a sack, our third, fourth string linebacker getting a sack, that's when things are going. When it's your night, it's your night. So that was really good to see. And obviously Marlon Humphrey. I know the defense isn't ranked, top 5, but when you really sit down there and analyze the game as a football fan, he makes a case for Defensive Player of the Year because all of his turnovers have come in critical moments. Really hasn't been beat like that. You think about Bengals game, pick in over or fourth quarter, we go down the field, kick a field goal, tie the game. Steeler game at home, away, we get to pick, we get chance to drive down there, we could have tied the game. But we missed a 2-point conversion. Bengals game at home, forcing the fumble, I believe, on Khalil Herbert. Big game change of the game. Give me some other picks. The pick 6 against the Steelers. I think he has 5 or 6. I'm missing 2 of them, but they've all come in critical moments.
6, yeah.
And he just played.
Yeah.
He just played absolutely lights out. So I'm really happy to see that. And just a defense, it's 11 guys playing for each other. There's no me's. And that is the biggest thing they have really grasped is to become a team. And it's crazy that it all took a $70 million safety being benched, which sucks. But as you're talking about the business decisions, Marcus Williams won't be a Raven next year. He won't. Let's just kind of talk about it. He's not going to be here.
No.
So Ardarius, Bo Braids, Nusy Kane, or we might draft somebody. Who knows? But as of right now, we are really just playing as a team and not me. It's we. I love that.
Yeah, same. And shout out to Chris Board really quick, because Spooky J says he's sad that Trenton Simpson got benched, but it is looking like it was the right decision to make. Yeah, Trenton Simpson is a second-year guy who I know a lot of us had a lot of promise for including myself. I made a whole YouTube short about it last season, I want to say, saying how this is going to be the next man up, after PQ leaves. And he stepped in and the Ravens made him step right back out because he said that he wasn't in the places that he needs to be. And we could see that kind of on tape. And, Chris Board, a real pro's pro, comes in, veteran. When his name is called, he shows up, plays, and he plays hard, So shout out to Chris Board, man. Definitely love to see him doing his thing. DWAS gives a shout to Broderick Washington. Also, I saw a shout for Michael Pierce as well. Love to have Michael Pierce back on that defensive line, man. Just absolutely love it. Let me see. My man DWAS also says, why does CJ Stroud hate Lamar? I don't think he hates Lamar. I think there was one clip. There was that one clip that you saw from a couple of off seasons ago where he didn't put Lamar in his top 5. And I think it was because he was going off of the previous season where Lamar didn't finish that season. So it's fair. I get it. I think he did another one this past off season where he did have Lamar in his top 5. I think he was like top 2 or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't think he hates him, but it's the internet. They'll spin things for you. Okay, so let's flip it over. Let's flip things over to the offense, right? So the offense putting up the points that they did, man. I mean, 31 points to literally only 2 on the other side. Derrick Henry in this one. And let me actually go up and pull up Derrick Henry's stats because I know he had, 27 carries, like 162, I want to say. It was, man, it was great to see from Derrick Henry. And unfortunately, a game like that from Derrick Henry, I think, can also hurt Lamar Jackson's MVP chances in some people's eyes. And that's the argument that they're going to make. Like, without Derrick Henry, this team wouldn't look the same, and it kind of disgusts me, that argument, quite frankly. We'll get into that MVP conversation in a minute here. But going back to the stats, though, so Derrick Henry, 27 carries for $147 and a touchdown he had early in the game, averaging 5.4 yards a carry. It was crazy because, DWA says here, big holes every play. 77 was on the nice list that day. O-line had their best game the other night, and Henry was running freely. Man, let me tell you this. It was halfway through the first quarter, right? And I'm there at the game, and there's some Texans fans below me, some Texans fans beside me, like I was saying earlier. And I think it was after Henry's third, fourth, I don't know, 5 or 6 yard, 7+ yard carry. And I'm like, oh yeah, y'all aren't stopping him tonight. Like, y'all are not stopping that. I'm sorry. These guys do not want to tackle him. I could see it. I was all from the section 500, wherever I was at, right? I could see it clear as day. Nobody wanted to really tackle Derrick Henry, right? And he started to heat up even, later in the game, as the game went on. Guys didn't want to on the ground. Now, of course, there was that safety, the end is deep. And I just remember like screaming to the top of my lungs, like, no, when that happened. But, that didn't really swing momentum at all. Honestly, nobody in the stadium really even got that hype. It's like they knew that, like, okay, like, we got that, but like, we're not going to be able to do that consistently. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry was absolutely phenomenal in that game. When you go to, of course, MV3, and I know both of our eyes, Lamar Jackson, he had a great performance. I mean, he didn't have like a Jackson 5, anything like that, but he accounted for 3 total touchdowns, right? And then he only had to pass 15 times, 10 for 15, 168, 2 passing touchdowns, only took 1 sack, 4 carries for 87 yards and a rushing touchdown as well. Talking about the 2 passing touchdowns first, Alex. So he throws one to Isaiah Likely, right? That one there. And who was the other one to? The other one was to Andrews, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The Andrews one was special because the kid that was sitting behind me, the 11-year-old, he had a 89 jersey on. He had Mark Andrews jersey on. So when he scored, he was so hyped, and I was so hyped for him. But I'll tell you though, that Isaiah Likely passing touchdown was something different because it was just like I felt like I saw something like that before that Lamar Jackson did this season. It kind of reminded me of the Chargers game about a month ago or so, right? When he hits the walk off, like the fadeaway 3 touchdown. Was that against the Chargers, right? I think it was against the Chargers.
That was Bengals to Bateman, and that happened in front of me. He hit that.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was Bengals to Bateman. Exactly. You're right. I do remember now. That was a classic moment. I felt like I kind of recreated that, but it might have been even harder difficulty. I think it was harder difficulty on this one because, he had, who was it, Daniil Hunter just in his face, and you just kind of toying with him, buying time. Lamar Jackson tends to do against anybody. And, at the last second, and shout out to Isaiah Likely, because Isaiah Likely doesn't get caught up in like, oh my God, that's Lamar Jackson. No pun intended. But he actually keeps the play alive. And the trust that Lamar Jackson has and Isaiah Likely to throw a rope to him in the end zone and turn around and put his hand before it even gets to Isaiah Likely. It just goes to show how much trust he has in his hands. Isaiah Likely's got some damn good hands. We know that. But that one really, really impressed me. What really, really hopped off the screen for you from Lamar Jackson?
I'm gonna have to go to the other tight end right now. The extending the play and Mark Andrews playing a bit of backyard football when he ran up the field and caught it for 60 some yards. Like both of our tight ends know how to play backyard football with Lamar. Like that's why I think he loves them both so much. And it's the point where like if you want to shut down one of them, cool. If you want to shut down Andrews, cool. Likely can not saying he's as good as him, but he can play the same game as him as well, which is just really good to see. I haven't seen Isaiah Likely speed yet. I haven't seen him want to just a breakaway like a Andrews has on that play. Like I want to see his breakaway speed. Hopefully I can see it in the playoffs where he just breaks one early in the game, touchdown, we go up 7-0, and the bank goes crazy. But oh man, I love that. And going back to the Likely thing too, like they did the same celebration last year against the Niners, like stuff in the bag, the Grinch and running away with it.
Yeah, running up. I love that. Yeah.
But I love that so much, and just like I just love that like it's back. They're back. And then we're getting Kolar back soon to help block as well. So like we're getting right. And I don't want to go too far, but we're gonna play another game on Sunday that we gotta play our starters in. Don't play a game the next week. But like we're stacking it. There's gonna be no bye week, no resting starters, no benching guys. Like we're gonna just keep this momentum going. And we have like a mini bye week to get healthy right now because we don't play this week. So we have all the next week to get healthy. So like I'm feeling good. I'll get more into it, but I'm feeling a lot better than I have in recent weeks. But just that offense there, Derrick Henry as well. Like that first shot, the first quarter, he had 86 yards, I think, rushing.
Yeah.
And Greg Olsen said that they were stacking. They weren't even stacking the box. They were daring us to run. Okay, you're daring the Ravens to run. That's a bold strategy.
Yeah.
Bold.
Yeah.
And,
we
really took full
is.
advantage of it.
No, and going back to Lamar Jackson, there was another play. Well, actually, before I get to Lamar Jackson's, rushing touchdown, because that one was just incredible to watch in person. Seeing him run that fast, like without the motion blur of like the TV on the cameras and things like that, like I was just like, no, this guy is really guys right now, and it doesn't even seem like he's going top speed. And he said that he wasn't going top speed. And I guess we'll just stick with this, and I'll go to the other thing next. But Lamar Jackson, that rushing touchdown, just absolutely incredible. What was it, like 48 yards, I want to say, and he's just literally running by DBs. What quarterback do you know has DBs who have an angle on him but still cannot get a finger? He didn't even get the DB didn't even get like 4 yards within Lamar's person. It just, I don't know. It was breathtaking to see. Honestly, at that point when that happened, I was just like, yeah, that might have locked up the third MVP for Lamar Jackson moment right there. Because he had the passing touchdowns. Right, he was very efficient through the air. He wasn't asked to do much, but that moment right there really kind of solidified it in my eyes, and then in a lot of other people's eyes as well. Even Texans fans, they were just kind of looking back. Some of them were looking back and up at me like, man, this guy is amazing. I was wearing my Lamar jersey too, and they were just kind of, I was like, yeah, that guy is good. That guy is damn good. Like the Ravens own the Texans right now. And even Texas fans will tell you that, and they kind of solidified that. But what did you think of that Lamar rushing touchdown?
I hate to go back to the two guys we just talked about, but a big reason why that happened was Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both just opened that hole. Just they said, you know what, you got us with some touchdowns, we'll get you with some blocks, and that hole just was freaking wide as hell. Lamar took it, ran with it, and I'll be honest, like that's what a big improvement I've seen with both their games, just the blocking. Like they're both blocking. Without Kolar, they've had to improve and step up, and along with catching the ball and scoring touchdowns, they've been helping out blocking as well. So that was fantastic to see. And just overall, I mean, he's not making mistakes. And that's one thing I don't think he's getting enough praise for is he's playing very mistake-free football. Obviously, the fumble last week or the 2 weeks ago against the Giants. But, like, in these big games, he's not making mistakes, which I mean, that's just beautiful. That's a great thing to see, and I hope it continues into the playoffs. But great game overall from Lamar. What's going on with Kelly Cam? And just in general, just taking a game by the scruff and making it his. So you got to see Josh Johnson, which is always kind of a good thing. You know, when Josh Johnson comes in, game's over.
Yeah. That's what I was going to mention. We only played 3 quarters. So that's rest right there.
Yeah, and you saw Keaton Mitchell big play. I'm jealous of that. I love a good Keaton Mitchell big play. That screen taking it. I don't want to go in negatives, but fortunately, Rasheen Ali doesn't look like the answer at running back. Hopefully, we get Justice Hill back to have Henry, Justice, and Keaton, which will be a really big boost for us. But outside of that, man, that was just a great game all around, all 3 phases. Obviously, giving up 2 points hurts, but the defense pitching a shutout against that team, it's big. It just cannot be said enough of what that does for that defense and how locked in they are. And to me, I put a tweet out. I'm like, I'm gonna bite that this year. To me, it does feel different in the fact that we face the trials and tribulations. We face the losing to the Raiders. Like, we obviously had that bozo loss, but just in general, we just look like a different team than years prior. And I see I'm getting a little shit for hating on Ali. I didn't see it in the preseason. He had the fumble issues. Doghouse with John Harbaugh. I just see it now. And Justice Hill, he was actually good for his rookie year. He had the big run against the Browns. He took that over in the Week 17 game. But yeah, this year does feel different. It does feel different.
Yeah, I mean, and you brought up the Keaton Mitchell run where the screen kind of reminded me of his speed too. You know, just kind of running by guys. He had a little convoy with him, but he was really running by guys on that one too. And of course, the Texans were defeated at that point. I think that was good for his confidence, you know, to just kind of get him a big one in a game, you know, Christmas Day, world's watching. I think that could definitely translate into some production maybe later on in the playoffs. We never know. He could still be that pace guy who we really have not unleashed yet, but I don't really expect him to get a whole lot of run in the playoffs because that's literally the whole reason why we got Derrick Henry. But maybe, you know, next season we can see him get a little bit more production because I still believe in that kid's legs, man. I really do. But let me see. There was another point in here to bring up. Somebody said something about. K-Dog says Ravens are to the Texans like the Chiefs are to the Ravens, a riddle that cannot be solved. This year, Ish is going to be different. You know what? I believe that. I really believe that. I think that this team, honestly, I think this Ravens team is fed up. I think this Ravens team is fed up right now. You know, all the talk, all the doubters, all season, coming off of an AFC Championship loss to the Chiefs, like a heartbreaking loss as well, where we really just could not get anything going. You know, I think that with all the noise that's been kind of talked about and spread around over the course of the season, this Ravens team is ready to peak. They're ready to hit their stride. And you can see that by the defense. The defense is literally peaking at the perfect time, and we love to see that. And Lamar Jackson's going to be Lamar, Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry, and things like that. But in terms of the Texans, yeah, I mean, we're kind of their boogeyman, you know? CJ Stroud, he looks very, very timid. He looks very, very, just cautious, more cautious than he's ever been when he plays the Ravens. You know, I know his offensive line hasn't been as good this year as it was his rookie season, but there were plays where, he was the ball, patting the ball, and I'm just like, bro, get rid of it. Like, I'm thinking like myself, like, bro, get rid of the football if you want something to happen right now. I mean, that's why guys like Matabika had a sack. Owe had a sack. Kyle Van Noy had a sack. I think Kyle had a sack on a stunt. And like, CJ Stroud was back there patting the ball for like 3-4 seconds or something like that. And he just ends up getting taken down. I'm just like, bro, I don't know what's going on with this kid now. I don't know if he's seeing ghosts, the good old Sam Darnold or what. That Kyle Hamilton interception, though, was very interesting because it seemed like Kyle Hamilton really, really had CJ Stroud's number on that one. He knew exactly where he was going with that one. I think Ryan Mink from the Ravens posted up the all 22 of that earlier, where Kyle Hamilton, he actually tracked that play for like a good maybe like 8 to 10 seconds almost, and he ran like 36 yards, how much he traveled, ended up turning his back completely to CJ Stroud and works his way over to that part of the field and makes the diving pick. I mean, it was awesome to see. Honestly, when that happened, I was like, if only he could have caught that one against Cleveland. If only he could have caught that one against Cleveland
Yeah.
to end the game. I was just like, man, it kind of gave me flashbacks a little bit, but I had to be grateful. I had to be grateful for the present moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, hold on. We got a super chat donation. This one's coming from the Don. What's going on, Don? Appreciate you for coming through, man. Appreciate you for the super chat donation, making it rain here on episode 286 of PRP. Don says, Sutton, Alex, Merry Christmas, guys. PRP. Sutton, you paying it forward to the young guns over at Charm City Sideline is awesome. Much love, guys. Yeah, I mean, I love my guys over at Charm City Sideline, man. Those are one of my favorite, new Ravens podcasters. Really well. Make sure you guys go subscribe to them as well. But yeah, Merry belated Christmas to you as well, Don. Appreciate you. And we hope you enjoyed that game on Wednesday, man. We know we did. It was awesome. It was awesome. But what else did you really take from this game, Alex?
Oh, well, RTD kind of took it. He says Tucker peaking at the right time. Justin Tucker has not missed a extra point, field goal since the bye week. So whatever he was doing over there, he was cooking. And that's, what good coaching does, good special teams does. You fix what was working. And he has hitting 50-plus yarders once again. They aren't questionable. They're down the middle. More than enough power. Great to see. So we don't know what the problem was, but they got it fixed. And let's hope it continues for the next 5 games. Next 5 games. Hopefully it fixes and it stays that way.
Yeah.
But, everything looked good. It's a good game when you don't have to have Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman, have big games. 3 catches for 40-some yards for those 2 guys combined. When on a different day, they can put up 150, 160 together, 2-3 touchdowns. So that's a great thing to see. But yeah, I mean, overall, man, good game. 31-2. Merry Christmas. No stress. Feet kicked up, 4th quarter. Josh Johnson throwing bombs to Anthony Miller, who, by the way, has more receiving yards as a Raven as Deontay Johnson. So, just to put it out there. Anthony Miller, Ravens legend, over Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. I like the point that you brought up about the Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman not necessarily getting theirs in that Christmas Day game because likely and Andrews didn't always be back and forth, vice versa. This offense is more multiple this year than it's ever been because now we're talking about either Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews can go off, or Rashad Bateman and Flowers can have a day, or now you got Derrick Henry in the backfield who he can have a day. Maybe 2 of those 3 groups can have a day. Lamar Jackson's always going to have a day, right? As long as he's got guys there available for him, he will make things happen. It is who he is, right? And I think that's why, honestly, I think Lamar Jackson deserves his 3rd MVP this season. Because a lot of people love to say, yeah, we're going to talk about it. We might as well go and talk about it now as we got 90 people watching live. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming through to this episode of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe. If you're watching on X, hello. Make sure you maybe head over to YouTube. Maybe hit the subscribe button. Maybe hit the like button. We'd appreciate that. But listen, I think that Lamar Jackson has all but locked up the 3rd MVP of his career. Josh Allen. Shout out to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is having a phenomenal season, one of the best seasons that we've seen a quarterback have. But unfortunately for Josh Allen, he continues to get one-upped by Lamar in one way or another, And last year, the Ravens had the 1 seed. Josh Allen had 18 interceptions. That's why he didn't win it. This year, the Bills don't have the 1 seed. They don't have the head-to-head with the Ravens. He doesn't have the stats over Lamar Jackson. So it's just like, I think with this one, we have to acknowledge the fact that Lamar Jackson is literally having one of the best quarterback seasons of all time, And like you said, or like we both were saying, no matter who is the supporting cast for Lamar Jackson on Ravens, he is bound to make things happen one way or another. I mean, we saw that he had 2019. He had the 2019 MVP season. He was throwing to guys like Willie Snead, you know what I'm saying? Like Hollywood Brown, who, no discredit to Hollywood Brown. Miles, you guys know the story. And for him to win MVP without having weapons, and then nowadays when he does have the weapons, you want to discredit him. so you don't want to give him the MVPs, and his numbers are even better. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Like, what would you want him to do with the weapons he has now? He's having a better statistical season than his 2019 MVP season when he had next to no weapons, right? So now that he has weapons, his numbers are even better. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what he's supposed to do if he's truly that guy, you know? So I just think that with all the talk in the media and all the reasons and that people want to throw at you why Josh Allen deserves the MVP over Jackson, I think a lot of people are just really being disingenuous, man. They're being very disingenuous. And the Don makes another donation here. Thank you so much, Don. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Making it rain here on episode 286 says, bro, Josh Allen's O-line got him an MVP chain. Yeah, I saw that. And I think that's kind of like the consolation prize on this, but I'll let you take it away.
Oh boy. Okay. There's a lot to say about this, and you can always tell who just started watching football when they start bringing up, oh, he had this guy and this guy. Like Peyton Manning didn't have Edgerrin James, Dallas Clark, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. Like Kurt Warner didn't have Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. Like that stuff didn't happen. I going far back where these people were probably too young, which is fine. It's just, why are you upset that this guy actually has guys? Like they're treating Bateman and Zay as if it's Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. They really are. And they're two guys that we've homegrown in a franchise that does not grow wide receivers. Outside of, what we've drafted recently, you're going to say our best receiver we developed was Torrey Smith, who was at best wide receiver 2, and Drew Flags, honestly. So, like, they're just coming up with these excuses, and it's always the same people. It's people in Buffalo jumping through tables. They might have CTE because it's just they're just making the most dumbest and stupidest comparisons. They bring up Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, he was doing this, before Lamar. It's not like he just became this great guy. They're acting like he's making Lamar and Lamar is making him. They just make no sense. And every Ravens fan, obviously we're backing our quarterback, but we know what we want. They want to know a good running back. I mean, James Cook is a very good running back. Like they're treating him like he's Tyson Williams. They're completely like taking like James Cook isn't a factor in the offense. Like they didn't have Diggs. Like Cole obviously wasn't having a Pro Bowl year with the Bills at one point. So it's just it's neither here nor there. So and then they brought up the interceptions. They're like, oh well, so and so won interceptions. He had 20 like in the 2000s. It's like, yeah, every quarterback was throwing interceptions back then. Jay Cutler had 26 leading the league. Like obviously, if you have less than 26, like you're gonna be given a shout. So it's just people not knowing what they're talking about and just being dumb.
I don't understand. We got a couple of people sounding off in the chat here. My guy Spencer chimes and says, I literally heard discourse today that the MVP should not be Lamar's base postseason play. This is a regular season award, not a postseason one. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when you put, I don't think that people can necessarily separate the context of those two things. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard for media members. It's very hard for, I'm sure, the voters, the AP voters, to do it as well. Because in the back of your mind, you're always thinking to yourself, like, I could give this guy the MVP again, but he always seems to crap the bed in the playoffs, and it just doesn't play. Just don't get to see that MVP level in the playoffs. So how much of an MVP really is he? That's kind of the argument that I think a lot of people are making in their minds. They don't even make that argument out loud because they know how stupid they would sound, right? And Spencer says he heard somebody say that today, and I think that's absolutely just asinine. Why would you even say anything like that? Because you're not supposed to conflate the two things. You're supposed to separate them, be an adult, and say, okay, look, if we're looking from week 1 to week 18 of an NFL regular season, who was the most valuable player in that time span? We're not talking about last AFC Championship where he threw the ball in the triple coverage, which essentially ended the game. So we want to use that to kind of judge him on this year and what's going on and whatnot and what we think might happen in this upcoming postseason. That's not fair. You're not supposed to do that. That's not how the award works. Simple as that. But yeah, so you just can't do that. You have to go with how the award is out for you right there. It's a regular season award.
Yeah. And I just they keep on bringing up these the weapons around people, and I'm just taking a trip down memory lane real quick, and I'm just going through some recent quarterbacks that have won the award. Why not we could talk about Aaron Rodgers, who had a Devontae Adams, he had an Aaron Jones, guys like even Alan Lazard, guys were all making plays for him. I didn't see anything about maybe Devontae Adams is making him. I didn't see that. Like he won it back-to-back years. Where was that voter fatigue? And he was crashing out. He couldn't even sniff a Super Bowl with that team.
I think it's the whole. Honestly, Alex, I gotta be honest with you right here. I think it's the whole quarterback thing.
It is.
I'm hearing its ugly head again. And I think that what we're really looking at here is a lot of AP voters kind of thinking that, looking at a Lamar Jackson, like, okay, this kid's not fair. He's breaking the game. You're not supposed to be able to do this type of thing at the quarterback position. If Aaron Rodgers puts up the same numbers with similar weapons, right? It's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's doing it with his arm. Traditional quarterback. But with Lamar Jackson, you've never really seen of this caliber, right? Of this kind of archetype or play style, if you will, getting back-to-back multiple MVPs. Like, wait a minute. Who is this guy? Is our league really changing like this? And I think a lot of people have a difficulty kind of grasping that change. You know what I mean? And that's why the whole quarterbacky thing is kind of coming back up now. Nobody's really saying that out loud, but I think it's in the back of people's head, along with the last point I was making with, people trying to kind of conflate the regular season performances with the playoff performances of the past.
And D-Watts brings up Patrick Mahomes' second MVP was fraudulent. Not going to say it's fraudulent, but I kind of sat back and I just looked up the stats. 5,250 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mean, 5,000 yards, that's unreal. I'm going to take a step back real quick. 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Lamar's at what? 39 right now? And 4 interceptions? With the rushing?
Yeah.
With sitting out fourth quarters? I mean, valuable to me is you take a player off a team. And I love people say, oh, you take Josh Allen off the Bills. You take Lamar. We took Lamar off the Ravens. We couldn't have put up 17 points.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Y'all weren't there. Y'all were not there. Oh, my gosh.
So what are you talking about? Like, you take the guys off the team. Like, and they're like, oh, just hand off Derrick Henry. The Titans just handed off Derrick Henry, and they couldn't do. They benched their quarterback because they weren't winning. Like, he was about to get traded because they weren't winning. So it's ringless franchises do the most speaking is one thing I've noticed. The ones in Cincinnati and the ones in Buffalo do a lot of talking. So with that being said, my quarterback is number 8 and plays in Baltimore, and he will be holding up a different type of MVP this year, come February 9th in New Orleans, and I'll leave it at that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have another super chat donation. This was coming from PrideX5. What's going on, PrideX? Appreciate you for dropping the 10-piece in the chat. He's making it rain here on episode 286 of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you so much for coming through, and thank you so much for donating. Says, exactly. Hard for some to accept the evolution of the quarterback position. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what it is. That's really what it is. I listen to guys like Mike Florio talk. I listen to guys like Emmanuel Acho talk. All these guys who have MVP votes. And I think that they're really just kind of missing the point. They're misunderstanding the assignment here. I think that they're taking kind of the history of the league and what we're so used to seeing with pocket passers and things like that. We're not used to guys coming in and dominating the league with their arm and their legs, right? And their legs are even more scarier than their arm. So if you have something that you can put against them, like, oh, he doesn't have the playoff success, then yeah, you can say he's not. Here's my thing. If Lamar Jackson had a Super Bowl, if he won it last year, right? And then this year we got Derrick Henry, and he has the exact same stats as of today, Friday, December 27th, 2004. Would it even be an argument about who's winning MVP this year? I don't think it would be. I don't think it would. I think it would be a little bit further, towards Lamar Jackson's side, because we've seen him get a ring before. So we know what he's going to do in the playoffs, right? So it's like we're not even questioning what we're seeing here in the regular season. People question what they see in the regular season in the back of their mind with Lamar because they know what has happened in the past in the playoffs, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And I'm just going to add one more thing onto it about the whole take them off. Imagine playing 6 games against the Dolphins with a quarterback who misses a lot of games, the Patriots with a rookie quarterback, and the Jets who haven't made the playoffs since I think 2009. Now imagine playing in a division like the AFC North 6 games against the Bengals, who by the way, people like must have like gotten hit with the Men in Black. The Bengals went into Buffalo with everybody behind Buffalo with the whole thing, and they lost. They put up a stinker at home while it's snowing, and we just forget about that. Going against the Steelers twice a year, who are always competitive, and the Browns, who are always, that will play you hard, but as recently aren't good because they're dysfunctional. So 4 games, I'll say, Steelers and Bengals. It's still compared to the 6 they play in their division, so it's fine. Yeah, it's the only time we'll just talk about it with the Bills fans. But yeah, it is just unbelievable the nonsense that is spewing. And I think my boy Sam said it here. Like, I guess Brady's MVPs are invalid because he was throwing to Wes Welker, Randy Moss, using the Bills fans logic. So that's fine.
Yeah. Let me see. Nigerian Warrior, shout out to you, says when Manning won MVPs, he had Harrison. Marvin Harrison was a dog. Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark. I had Reggie Wayne's football card when I was a kid. I used to love Reggie Wayne. But yeah, had the weapons, had all the weapons, so it doesn't make any sense how, people on Twitter, I know people that I know personally who will argue me down saying how, the Ravens have so many weapons. Mark Andrews, you've got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's one, of course, but my thing is, and I saw a tweet the other day that said this. It said that Lamar Jackson's impact on the run game is not very quantifiable in the stat sheets, and a lot of people don't like that. And that is so true. That is just facts. That's absolute facts, man. Because as good as Derrick Henry is, he absolutely would not have a lot of the wide open running lanes that he has without the threat of Lamar Jackson. You see the edge guy trying to read Lamar Jackson until it's a second too late. And Derrick Henry has run up that hole so many times this season. I know he's got to be having the most fun that he's ever had in an NFL uniform this year, to be honest with you, like with this team, because it's just so much easier. He doesn't have to do all of the work. He doesn't have to. Man, it's crazy. I wish people could see it like that, though. Alex, because so unfair for you to just say, like, oh, he has Derrick Henry. All he's got to do is just hand the ball off him. That's it. It's like, no, that's not how our offense works. We threaten you with Lamar Jackson, and because of the Lamar Jackson, now Henry's running free. He's got a head of steam now. Now your DB's got to get out there in December weather and try to tackle him with their arms. Go ahead.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. I saw rumblings that Derrick Henry was washed when he left the Titans last year. He was washed. We don't have to worry about Derrick Henry. Running backs over 30, getting paid that
He's
much.
Old.
But Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, they're going in their prime. Of course they're going to be good. Derrick Henry, he barely scraped 1,000 yards last year. He's not good anymore. This line, our guards are average at best. And I'm not trying to bring on anybody, but that's just simply facts. Love for the tackles and love for the center. To act like we have 5 superstars out there, like we have prime Quentin Nelson and prime Marshall Yanda at guard, which we simply don't. It's just these guys make each other better. They do. So it's fine. I'll take it. You can keep on making excuses, but I think this is the best quarterback I've seen from him in his whole career, in his 7 years here, which is crazy to think about, and I will keep on enjoying it. So, and the flip-flopping voters, I pulled up a clip from the pregame to week 4. It was the show Emmanuel Acho's one, and they went, who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Lamar? And somebody said Josh Allen. I think it was James Jones, I believe. He was like, Lamar's not even in Josh Allen's, ballpark in his range. Okay, dude. And mind you, Mr. Sutton, the Texans are 1-5 against playoff teams this year. Who was the one team they beat?
Yeah, it'd be the Chiefs.
The Texans. No, they beat.
Oh, you said the Texans. I thought you meant
Texans,
the Bills.
yes.
I thought you meant the Bills. My bad.
No, sorry, the Texans.
They beat a couple. Yeah.
Guys, like I said, Like I said, Josh Allen, 9:30, not September 30th, 9:30. I saw a Bills fan tell me that the Ravens blew out the Texans, but Lamar only had one more completion than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, you went 9 for 30, trailing the whole game, and you completed 9 passes. And this is not me hating. I like the guy, but you are simply pitting these two against each other. Like it's the MVP race has become literally like a presidential election now. Like there's propaganda being spread at this point. Like they're just like reaching for stuff now. So sorry. 35-10. Mitchell Trubisky came in because your ass got benched. Only rate you're getting is from Haley Steinfeld. Sorry.
Ooh. Oh man.
Sorry.
we got another super chat donation. D-Waz absolutely making it rain tonight, man. Thank you so much, brother. Says Nick Wright is the worst TV guy. You know, I haven't watched a lot of Nick Wright at all recently because I already know when it comes to propaganda, this guy is just the number one. This is the guy who said Caleb Williams was better than Lamar Jackson before the season started, and you know, here we are, right? So Nick Click right is what I like to call him. Click right because he says things for shock value, you know, and just is what it is. But have you seen anything recently from Nick Wright on the MVP talks? I haven't.
I don't think I have. The Mahomes Mountain. They're 3 wins away from greatness, from this and that. Like I said, I want to go in there. I want to slay the dragon. I want to go in there. I'm glad they got the 1 seed. I want to slay every dragon like Flacco did in 2012. I want to play the up-and-coming quarterback. I want to go to Buffalo. I want to go to Kansas City. I want to slay everything we possibly can. So I want to know what excuse there can possibly be.
Yeah.
Because, one thing I haven't seen is people downplaying that Joe Flacco playoff run. I want the same thing for Lamar. You cannot make any excuses about that. No Mickey Mouse or nothing like that. I want him going there with the sword, like Brian Billick said, go screaming like a wild banshee, let him know you're in there, and just cut off every head possible. And I think he'll do that.
Yeah. And you know, the way it's shaping up right now, and I guess we're kind of shifting gears just a little bit here towards the playoff talk. You know, it's looking like we're either going to play the Chargers, there's going to be another Harbaugh Bowl, or it's going to be the Broncos. You know, I would love to see another Harbaugh Bowl in the wild card round. I mean, I think it'd make for great story, you know, great storytelling in that regard. Like you said, I want to slay every dragon. The up and coming quarterback who are we really even still considering Justin Herbert as up and coming anymore? Has he arrived and we just kind of know what he is, sort of thing, right. You know, or okay. So just to make sure. So yeah, beating them, and then I want to go beat the Bills. You know, I definitely want to go beat the Bills, especially with all the discourse and the talk that's been going down. I'm not exactly sure what day they announced the NFL MVP. I want to say it's somewhere in the playoffs, right? Can we actually look that up really quick? Because I want to know. I'd be very interested to know. I think it's when they hand out the NFL honors, right? NFL honors award or whatever they have.
That's the week of the Super Bowl. Yeah, week of the Super Bowl.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's the week of the Super Bowl. That's probably in that dead week between, you know, the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. Okay, in the media week or whatever. Yeah. So I think that, like you said, playing all the Dragons, beating the Chargers or the Broncos, whoever it is, beating the Bills if they make it that far. The Chiefs, I think, honestly, man, the Chiefs, they're the ones that scare me still.
Yeah, they're turning up at the right time.
Yeah. And I know I said earlier that I do feel like things will be different this year. I feel like this team will get over the hump because they're quite literally fed up with all the noise, you know, fed up from the AFC Championship game last year, fed up from week 1, losing that game by a toe, quite literally, pending a 2-point conversion, of course. And then also dropping just dropping games you should not have dropped throughout the course of the season. Of course, losing the one to the Raiders, losing the one to the Browns, you know, dropping to the Steelers when we felt like we should have won that game as well. You know, they didn't even score a touchdown, right? I think this team is fed up. They're really turning things around, but even still, you know, the Chiefs, if they weren't 15-1, I'd be a little bit more like, okay, I'm not as worried about that team. But they have been on what feels like to me energy conservation mode for the entire season. And, you know, I'll never forget it. Yep. In the divisional round, who did the Chiefs beat in the divisional last season? Remind me, Alex.
The Bills. Beat the Bills.
The Bills, right. They beat the Bills. And in the locker room after the game, Travis Kelce, he just tells everybody in the locker room, he's like, next week we got Baltimore, we're gonna turn it up a notch, you know? And I just feel like they have that mentality. Like they know what it takes. They know exactly what it takes. They almost have it down to a science because that's what dynasties do. You know, they get it down to a science, what it takes to win. That's why they've won literally all their games this season by one score, you know, have not scored 30 points since when? When's the last time the Chiefs scored 30 points? It's been a minute. Has it been this season?
They put 29 against the Steelers. I think they have.
Bro, they haven't put up 30 points all year. They're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They're 15-1. They're winning these games by one possession. They're just finding ways to, like a dynasty does. And that's what scares me. It's not even necessarily the talent at this point. It's just like the fact that if it's a close game down the stretch, most likely they're going to find the win. So it's and Taquan confirms it here. The Chiefs have not scored 30 points in one game this season. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane to think about, man. Again, they're going to be dangerous, just like they are every year in the playoffs. We cannot count them out by any stretch of the imagination. I can see guys like Xavier Worthy getting theirs. I know the plays drawn for him. Hollywood's back. Yeah, go ahead.
They finally learned how to use Xavier Worthy. It almost took them the whole regular season. Like if they finally learn how to use them, they use them in week 1 correctly, and the past couple weeks they're finally learning too. But back to the whole playoff thing. Can you just rock with me real quick? I just want to fight just every demon. I want the Chargers first round. You know, Lamar getting, boo, putting in Flacco, the first playoff game. I want the Bills divisional where he got the concussion, in 2020. Then the Chiefs championship. You right the wrongs from last year. That's really what I want. And that's kind of, I think, how it might go. They just kind of the Lamar story and make for it. Like we're talking about like scripts. That's a great script. You know what I mean? Like I'm just following like the whole script thing. But give me that 3. But you gotta take it one game at a time. That's just us being fans talking about it. We're just on our high horse, enjoying it.
Yeah, that's literally all it is. That's literally all it is, man. And so, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and leave it there for that topic. And this episode of the show, we were about an hour in, and we think we've hit all of our points we wanted to hit tonight. It's been a great episode. Thank you all so much for coming through to this one. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. If you're watching on X, again, be sure to come over to YouTube, type in the Purple Rain Podcast, hit subscribe, hit the like on this one, maybe leave a comment. We'd appreciate that. Again, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast, like you see down below. Follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def. And then my guy over here, you can follow him on X at SimplyAS10 and on Instagram at SimplyAS10.prod. Like he led the episode with, Manscaped is our sponsor. You can go on manscaped.com, fill your cart high to the sky, as I always like to say. Put in our code PRP at the checkout, and you're going to get 20% off plus the free international shipping, which is always the key. Okay. Again, thank y'all so much for coming to do this one. It's going to be a wonderful rest of the season. I can just feel it in my bones right now. I feel like Lamar's going to get that MV3 that's loading. And yeah, I'm very excited about where this team is going right now. So with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Jess. Enjoy this Saturday and Sunday because this is the last weekend you can, comfortably enjoy before playoffs, before a Ravens game. Next week, we got a big game, got to win the North. After that, you got those super wild card, then divisional, then conference championship. Then that rest week. Then the fucking Super Bowl. Let me step back. One game at a time. But seriously, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holidays. And as always, stay positive. Test negative.
Yes, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. It's been yet another episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.